Yay, hi everyone. My name's David. Welcome to PTE Listening. Yeah, we're going to run this class for about 25 minutes. Grab a pen or a pencil, you've got something to write on, and we're going to work our way through the PTE Listening Task. Yep, excellent practice. And at the end, I'm going to give you a link to, or encourage you to find a link to go to another live class, which will be a free live class after this. So you're going to know a lot in a short space of time, or learn a lot. Welcome everyone from everywhere. On your devices, on your phone, on your laptop, on your iPad. Let's get started. PTE listening. Now, what we're going to do is you're going to interact during the class as well, yep, via the chat box. Okay, so if you can, find the chat box. You can say hello and we can get started. While you're doing that, on the platform, when you sign in or do sign up, if that's what you choose to do, there are plenty of practice tasks right across all the tasks that are of exam standard, yep. So do the tasks, then the assessments, and then get feedback on those assessments to know how well you're doing. Practice all the skills, listening, reading, writing, and speaking. After about 50% of studying on the platform, you'll be ready to do a mock test, which will give you a clue as to how well you're going to go on test day. Yep, perfect. Okay, now here's our overview of PTE listening. 12 to 20 questions in total, 30 to 43 minutes. The questions are not individually timed, so you have to manage your own time. So what that means is summarize spoken text. In fact, there's one of these, and it will take 10 minutes. Yep. And then multiple choice, multiple answers. Spend about 2 minutes on that, but no more. And then all the other tasks, and there are 8 tasks all up, spend about 1.5 minutes, which means you have to watch the clock and get the task done in that time, or you won't finish the test, which means you need a method to do each of those tasks. Now, in this class, for this session, we're going to practice. There's not a lot of method learning. We can learn the methods off the platform, but you can try out what the questions look like. I'll give you some advice as we go. Grab a pen and paper and also type into the chat box. All good? Okay, summarize spoken text. Are you ready? This is what the instructions look like. You're going to hear a short text. You're going to write a summary for 50 to 70 words, and you'll have 10 minutes to do it. Now, we're just going to run this by us in this session so you become familiar with the task. In the preparation time, you're going to look at the image, yep, and you're going to predict what the task test audio is going to be about. Then you're going to listen and take notes, and then you're going to write a response, a paragraph response in 50 to 70 words. So we suggest using this framework. The speaker was D, discussing, he M, mentioned, he D, described, he T, talked about, he D, discussed, he S, suggested that. So we're going to walk our way through this, yeah? So what I suggest you do is listen, and with your pen in hand, you're going to take notes of the main ideas, names, numbers, and main ideas. And when you attend the classes, we'll teach you a method that will give you these skills specifically, yeah? So here we go. Let's try it out. We're going to listen to the audio and take notes as you go, and then I'll show you a model answer. Let's go. Okay, getting ready, pen in hand, ready on your pad, ready to take notes, key ideas. Here we go. Get set.
I'm a journalist, so I like to look for the untold stories, the lives that quietly play out under the scream of headlines. So for the last few years, I've been trying to understand what constitutes the 21st century good life, both because I'm fascinated by the moral and philosophical implications, but also because I'm in desperate need of answers myself. We live in tenuous times. In fact, for the first time in American history, the majority of parents do not think that their kids will be better off than they were. This is true of rich and poor, men and women. Now, some of you might hear this and feel sad. After all, America is deeply invested in this idea of economic transcendence, that every generation kind of leapfrogs the one before it, earning more, buying more, being more. We've exported this dream all over the world. So kids in Brazil and China and even Kenya inherit our insatiable expectation for more. But when I read this historic poll for the first time, it didn't actually make me feel sad. It felt like a provocation. Turns out the biggest danger is not failing to achieve the American dream. The biggest danger is achieving a dream that you don't actually believe in. So don't do that. Do the harder, more interesting thing, which is to compose a life where what you do every single day, the people you give your best love and ingenuity and energy to, aligns as closely as possible with what you believe. That, not something as mundane as making money, is a tribute to your ancestors. That is the beautiful struggle.
Okay, so we listen, take notes. Now from our notes and our memory, we end up writing a paragraph, yep, in response. So we're summarizing the spoken text. That text was about 90 seconds long, yep, and then we're drafting using this framework. The speaker was discussing, mentioned, described, talked about, discussed, suggested that. We have a full 10 minutes to do it, yep, on test day and while practicing. In our session now, I'm going to show you a model answer. Yep. So as we've got our notes, we've got our memory, we're writing our sentences, we're going to summarize what the speaker said. That is what the speaker said on the left-hand side here, yeah? So what we've done is we've taken keywords and phrases from what she said, and we end up starting to write out our paragraph using the framework between 50 and 70 words, and then we end up with one of these as an accurate representation of what the speaker said. So the speaker was discussing the American dream. She mentioned that she was a journalist interested in people's everyday stories. She talked about her need to discover that what constitutes the modern good life. She discussed how the next generation of Americans may not be better off. And she described that this may not be sad, but suggested we live according to our values as a way to honor our ancestors. Yeah, so a paragraph that took 7 or 8 minutes to write, and then 1 to 2 minutes to check that it's okay at the end. And then we submit that using the full 10 minutes for that task. All good? That is summarize spoken text. Yep, and you get a chance to practice that from the platform or in any of the live classes that you turn up to. Perfecto. Okay, now we're going to do the rest. Yeah, there are 8 tasks. That was one of them. Multiple choice, choose multiple answers. Are you ready? Now, in this task, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to the recording and answer the question by selecting the correct responses. And that means more than one, as in 2 or 3. So you'll need to select more than one response. So we look for the keywords. Why does the speaker say we have a pickle problem? And then we skim over the possible answers. But what we're going to do is listen and focus on what the speaker is saying and take notes of names, numbers, main ideas, nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, the content words. And then at the end of the audio, we're going to make the choice of the answers that respond to the prompt. Okay, hope you're ready. And you can type your choices in the chat box, yeah? We'll leave a bit of time after the audio to be able to do that. And we're going to get started. Let's go.
I think what we have is a pickle problem. I had a friend who worked at a pickle factory, and the cucumbers would come flying down this conveyor belt, and his job was to pick off the ones that didn't look so good and throw them in the bin labeled relish, where they'd be crushed and mixed with vinegar and used for other kinds of profit. This is the pickle economy. We're all focusing on, this is a statistic from earlier this month in the Financial Times, we're all focusing on the luxury economy. It's worth $1.5 trillion every year. And that's a vast amount of money, right? That's 3 times the gross domestic product of Switzerland. So it's vast, but it should come with an asterisk. And the asterisk is that it excludes 2/3 of the workers of the world. 1.8 billion people around the world work in the economy that is unregulated and informal. That's a huge number. And what does it mean? Well, it means that if it were united in a single political system, one country, it would be worth $10 trillion every year. And that would make it the second largest economy in the world. And given that projections are that the bulk of economic growth over the next 15 years will come from emerging economies in the developing world, it could easily become the largest economy in the world.
Notes, memory, now we're making choices. 2 or 3 are correct, but only choose correct ones, yeah? As 1 is better than 1 minus 1 because there's negative marking in this. So only choose the correct answer or answers. Type them in the chat box, give it a go, be brave. You're allowed to be wrong, you've got nothing to lose. Okay, all right, so just adding allowing a little bit of time for that. Getting the clock going on this side. Okay, choosing 1, 2, or 3 answers. If there are 3 correct answers, there will be at least 2. Okay, ready? We're going to check those answers. If you are typing them in, please let us know so that we can you can give yourself credit when you get them right. Yep. Okay, another 5 seconds. And here we are. The answers are C and D. C and D. Screenshot that if you need to. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. Ready for it? Again, you know what to do. Find the keyword in the prompt, listen out for the answer, and then make choices after the audio is finished. Let's go.
So why do you think the rich should pay more in taxes? Why did you buy the latest iPhone? Why did you pick your current partner? And why did so many people vote for Donald Trump? What were the reasons? Why did they do it? So we ask this kind of question all the time, and we expect to get an answer. And when being asked, we expect ourselves to know the answer, to simply tell why we did as we did. But do we really know why? So when you say that you prefer George Clooney to Tom Hanks due to his concern for the environment, is that really true? So you can be perfectly sincere and genuinely believe that this is the reason to drive your choice, but to me, it may still feel like something is missing. As it stands, due to the nature of subjectivity, it is actually very hard to ever prove that people are wrong about themselves.
Okay, our notes. We go through making choices, eliminate and select. Okay, in the chat box, if you're a bad speller, spelling's not nothing to do with it at the moment. Yep. Okay, so you're just choosing A, B, C, D, or E. Yep. Okay, so we've got an idea about what's going on there. Cool. And commit. You can't spell a letter. Okay. All right. Let's do it. And we're predicting what the answers might be. And we come up with B and C. Yep, people believe they have good reasons to back up their judgments, and they may be mistaken about their motivations. Cool. Don't choose the ones that are incorrect in multiple choice. Choose multiple answers. All good? Okay, that's 2 tasks. We've got 8 altogether, and we're going to get them done in the next less than 20 minutes. So we're looking at this. You'll hear a recording. I'm going to type the missing word into each blank, 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 blank. So what we do is read along, yep, and listen at the same time and write the word we hear that's in the blank. Okay, you can write those in the chat box. Okay, if you're a bad speller, it's actually a good question, is come to a class where we do spelling, which does happen from time to time. So look out for clues about how to spell in English. It's not taught often, and it is a skill. So it's a good thing to state. If I'm a bad speller, come to class and learn how to spell. Okay, are you ready? Let's go. Okay, get ready to write the missing words, filling in the blanks.
We're inundated with news all the time that the sea ice is disappearing and it's at its lowest level. And in fact, scientists were originally saying sea ice is going to disappear in the next 100 years. Then they said 50 years. Now they're saying the sea ice in the Arctic, the summertime extent, is going to be gone in the next 4 to 10 years. And what does that mean? After a while of reading this in the news, it just becomes news. You glaze over with it. And what I'm trying to do with my work is put faces to this. And I want people to understand and get the concept that if we lose ice, we stand to lose an entire ecosystem. Projections are that we could lose polar bears. They could become extinct in the next 50 to 100 years.
Great. Now you're typing them in. So, and the other clue to spelling is to spell it as it sounds. Yep, as best as you can using phonetics. So meaning sound spelling. Okay, so typing them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll show you the answers, but it's a good idea to commit to writing yours in if you can. You've got access to a keypad. Here they are. Disappearing, yep. Extent, reading, concept, and extinct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is filling in the blanks. Cool. That's task 3. Task 4, highlight correct summary. You're going to hear a recording. Click on the paragraph that best relates to the recording. So in the 10 seconds preparation time, skim over for keywords in the options. While the audio plays, listen only to the audio. Don't keep reading because 3 of those possible answers are incorrect. Okay, so only one is correct. So only listen to understand, then make the choice at the end of the audio. We'll learn that that is the better way of doing it. Are you ready to go? All right, 10 seconds to prepare, looking for keywords to listen out for.
Today, I want to talk to you about the mathematics of love. Now, I think that we can all agree that mathematicians are famously excellent at finding love. But it's not just because of our dashing personalities, superior conversational skills, and excellent pencil cases. It's also because we've actually done an awful lot of work into the maths of how to find the perfect partner. Now, in my favorite paper on the subject, which is entitled Why I Don't Have a Girlfriend, Peter Backus tries to rate his chances of finding love. Now, Peter's not a very greedy man. Of all of the available women in the UK, all Peter's looking for is somebody who lives near him, somebody the right age range, somebody with a university degree, somebody who's likely to get on well with, somebody who's likely to be attractive, somebody who's likely to find him attractive. And comes up with an estimate of 26 women in the whole of the UK. It's not looking very good, is it, Peter? Now, just to put that into perspective, that's about 400 times fewer than the best estimates for how many intelligent extraterrestrial life forms there are. And it also gives Peter a 1 in 285,000 chance of bumping into any one of these special ladies on a given night out. I like to think that's why mathematicians just don't really bother going on nights out anymore.
Okay. All right. You got the information, took your notes. Okay. Remember, eliminate and select. Yep. And you do that in about a minute and a half. Okay. Now we're going to find out what the answer is, which is brilliant. Okay. So rather than D, it turns out to be A. Yep. Because that is actually literally more accurate than D. All right. We're going to get good at that kind of task. We're going to do another one. All right. So you're going to hear a recording again. Look for the keywords in the preparation time, and then listen, take notes and listen to help understand, then make a choice as to which is the correct answer. Here we go.
What lies in store for future economic growth? If history is any guide, the story of growth will hinge on the interplay between the disruptive forces of innovation on the one hand and the stabilizing role of institutions on the other. There is an active debate underway on the likely future path of innovation. Some have recently argued that the pace of innovation may be declining. The argument here is that much of the low-hanging fruit from the ICT revolution has already been picked. Diminishing returns to R&D may have set in, and other secular forces, including adverse demographics and rising inequality, may have acted as additional headwinds to growth. This view sometimes goes by the name secular stagnation.
Okay, eliminate and select the one that's most likely. Yep. Okay, you might agree with more than one, but the one that is most likely to be correct in this case is, we got it, is A. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, and that represents, yep, in summary form, her thinking. So it is the correct summary. And we highlight it by selecting it. All good? That's that task. Okay, now what have we got now? We've got multiple choice, choose single answer. We like these because it's a straightforward task. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to look for the keywords. We're going to listen. We're going to focus and take notes, and then we're going to choose, in this case, A, B, or C. According to the speaker, sustainable investment is...
The world is changing in some really profound ways, and I worry that investors aren't paying enough attention to some of the biggest drivers of change, especially when it comes to sustainability. And by sustainability, I mean the really juicy things like environmental and social issues and corporate governance. I think it's reckless to ignore these things because doing so can jeopardize future long-term returns. And here's something that may surprise you. The balance of power to really influence sustainability rests with institutional investors, the large investors like pension funds, foundations, and endowments. I believe that sustainable investing is less complicated than you think, better performing than you believe, and more important than we can imagine.
Okay, made your choice? Yep. Okay, again, we've got a minute and a half to do that, but a minute and a half is too much time to do that. Once you've decided which ones aren't correct, based on what he said, which one is correct, then we commit. Yep, and then move on. Okay, made a decision, and of course the answer is likely to be performing better than we currently think. Yep, brilliant. All right, all good. Okay, I believe that sustainable investing is less complicated than you think, better performing than you believe. All right, that is what we heard. That is what he said. The other two are not correct. We're going to do another one. So what does the speaker say about the number of deaths related to drug crime in Mexico? Yep, so let's get going. Listen, take notes, then answer.
If you decided to spend 30 minutes trying to figure out what's going on with drug violence in Mexico by, say, just researching online, the first thing you would find out is that while the laws state that all Mexican citizens are equal, there are some that are more and there are some that are much less equal than others, because you will quickly find out that in the past 6 years, anywhere between 60 and 100,000 people have lost their lives in drug-related violence. To put these numbers into perspective, this is 8 times larger than the number of casualties in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars combined. It's also shockingly close to the number of people who have died in the Syrian civil war, which is an active civil war.
Okay, we got it? All right. Here it is, B. Yep, the numbers are higher than the total causalities. Casualties is what that should say. It's a misspelling from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Okay, we got it. Yep, and the other two are not correct. They are approximations using words that we heard, but they are not correct. Nice work, us. Okay, select missing word, SMW. Are you ready? Now, what you're going to hear is an audio about coding. Yep, and at the end of the recording, the last word or group of words has been replaced by a beep. Select the current option to complete the record. Sorry, select the correct option. You don't need to focus on these. You need to focus on the end of the audio. And then we're going to assume that we understood it and then choose the correct answer. Here we go. It's about coding.
So increasingly, people are starting to recognize the importance of learning to code. In recent years, There've been hundreds of new organizations and websites that are helping young people learn to code. You look online, you'll see places like Code Academy and events like Coder Dojo and sites like Girls Who Code or Black Girls Code. It seems that everybody is getting into the act. Just at the beginning of this year, at the turn of the new year, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg made a New Year's resolution that he was going to learn to code in 2012. A few months later, the country of Estonia decided that all of its first graders should learn to code. And that triggered a debate in UK about whether all the children there should learn.
Okay, don't think about it for too long. Make a choice. Yep, A, B, C, or D. You have chosen. The answer is B. He kept saying the phrase, didn't he? So it fitted in that would be the choice. Okay, highlight incorrect words. Are you ready? What we're going to do with this one is hear a recording. Here's the transcription. Some words in the transcription differ from what the speaker said. Click on the words that are different. In this case, we're going to write them down. Are you ready? Highlight incorrect word. Don't guess because there's negative marking. Skimming over it to find out what it's about. We'll put our cursor at the beginning. We're going to move through and find out the words that are wrong.
In baseball, a cutter or a fastball cutter or a cut fastball is a type of fastball that breaks toward the pitcher's glove hand side as it reaches home plate. This pitch is somewhere between a slider and a fastball, as it is usually thrown faster than a slider, but with more motion than a typical fastball. Some pitchers use a cutter to prevent hitters from expecting the regular fastballs.
Okay, we got it. Okay, it's our Canadian mate. Here we go. What you wrote was this. Type, somewhere, motion, and prevent. Yep, that's highlight incorrect words. Those words were not said by the speaker. Okay, write from dictation. Here's our final task. Here's the first one. Listen. Type the sentence below exactly as you hear it. Write as much of the sentence as you can. You'll hear the sentence only once. Here we go. Here's the first one.
This innovation could be a step toward wider adoption of solar power.
Next one, listen to the first half, then the second half of the sentence.
The rise of self-driving cars is set to dramatically alter the way we move around cities.
The third one.
Career mobility has important implications for organizations.
Okay, let's check them. Okay, this innovation could be a step toward wider adoption of solar power. The rise of self-driving cars is set to dramatically alter the way we move around cities, and career mobility has important implications for organizations. Awesome. That is right from dictation. Now, if you want to get a top score, practice vocabulary by reading and listening, distinguish between words, focus on the main ideas, and don't panic. More practice the tasks off the platform and get feedback. And also, this is one we want to tell you about before in the next 2 minutes. To complete your PTE studies, check out or begin them. Yep, check out E2 Language Instagram. So go to Instagram, find E2 Language on there and find out what time the classes are. And you can find information about the free PTE speaking class that's happening in 1 minute. So go to Instagram, log in, find E2 Language, find the link. It's free. Sign up and join that class. Okay, so it means you've got access to a full class PTE speaking class now with Sarah, who's based in Spain. I'm in Melbourne. You're everywhere else. And Sarah's in Spain. So catch up with that instant one. It's on now. If you're watching this later in time, sign up for the next free class. Yep. So E2 live classes, register to join our live classes, do a mock test when you need to find out where everything, how well you're going. If you're already a student with us, upgrade so you do one-to-one tutorials where you'll get all your questions answered, or join one of our small group classes. Okay, I have to finish now because those of you who are with us right now are able to join that free class. Those of you who are listening further down the track, find out when the next free live class is and join us then. Thanks for participating. It's awesome to have you here. Good luck with your studies, and I look forward to seeing you in class soon. Bye now.